you for all the compliments. This is my new shopping actually, so very excited. I will be wearing some new clothes now that I have just come back from Spain. Goa vibes, is it? Yeah. Actually, I picked up these very gorgeous extra pink pants and I didn't know how to match them. So I've been like looking for bright colored tops, but they have to be subdued so that both the pieces don't look extra bright. So this particular beigeish top goes very well with this pink pants, and actually as a set it's looking really nice. So I'm happy I finally found a top to match these extra bright pants. Normally what I do is I just wear black and white with extra bright pants. That works fabulously, but I wanted to do a little bit of matching. So yeah, this is there's another story to these glasses which I'll give you another day. Yeah, absolutely love wearing colored pants. Actually, it's something that I enjoy doing. I don't know, do you also love wearing colored pants? Tell me in the chat box. I find the black, brown, blue very boring, so I keep looking for interesting colors in trousers. Then I can match them with different shirts, t-shirts, tops, depending. Alright, let's get into questions quickly today. True People Stories is asking, my family member attempted suicide, thankfully now recovered, but these situations make me fearful that how to take care of me and my family members. I'm not sure how I'm going to answer this question because there isn't really a question here apart from the fact that, anything bad happening does create extra fear. But the truth is that the world currently is in a place where suicide rates are going higher and higher because sadness, depression, loneliness, these are all epidemics that have gotten created because of the pandemic. So when the pandemic happened, we've all come back into life, but that loneliness that we experienced for those couple of years has taken cemented space inside our body, and some of us have even lost our ability to stay connected, and some of us have found other things to do. So I feel like when it comes to a situation of suicide, I think a lot of times it's a moment in your life where you're not being able to see any hope for the future. So what is the most important thing is to bring back that hope. And a lot of people who do not land up dying in the process of attempting their suicide actually land up feeling grateful for the fact that it didn't happen, because at different phases we are going through different things in life, right? So as far as taking care of yourself and your family members, I don't think you should connect something as extreme as suicide to it happening to anybody or anyone around you. I think you should more look and examine on what was the circumstances of that person that led them to do that. Okay, so a lot of times I believe it's a lot of chemical locha in the body. Okay, so somebody is losing hope and they are getting no help. So if you see someone feeling extreme sadness, extreme depression, how do you know that it's extreme sadness and depression? They are not able to do the regular things of life. Things that come easily to most people, like even waking up. For them, getting out of bed starts to, one of the biggest symptoms of sadness and depression is not being able to genuinely do things that would just be like, tyaar hona, subah uthna. If you feel like any of your family members is becoming, completely losing hope and interest in life, then just take them to a doctor. A doctor can sometimes put such people on 2 weeks of medication and you will start to see a complete cheer up happening. It is just a chemical issue sometimes, and then get them a coach who can give them more hope of the future. So I feel like a psychiatrist and a life coach work beautifully in tandem, because while the psychiatrist will help them fix whatever is going wrong chemically, biologically, bodily, the life coach will help them create a beautiful future. And I've seen so many times this combination working. Okay, so just now remain aware towards your family members that, is there anyone in your family who is feeling like they're entering that phase where they're losing interest in life? And then after that, you have to just keep checking that is there anybody who will need a psychiatric help. A lot of times people taken to a doctor in time can save a life, for sure. Okay, but the most of the times what happens is we start to say sentences like, let it go na, jane do, this too shall pass, you know what, maybe it's just a phase. No, these sentences, what they do is they actually create more anxiety in the person, because that person is not able to let it go. It is mattering to them. Whatever incident has gone and sat inside of them is traumatic. You know, yesterday morning I heard something and my body for almost 30 minutes was going through something that I did not know how to handle. And I just had to calm myself down, and on my way to work, I just stopped at the temple, felt so much more peaceful, and then I went to work. And I was like, I who's so aware of life is having a bodily reaction that I have zero understanding of. And you know, sometimes that's what happens. You go through shock. Maybe you catch your man cheating. Sometimes you catch your children doing things that should not be done. Sometimes somebody says something to you that is so extreme. These are all things that create trauma in our body. And guess what? Most of us are not educated enough in this field to know that my body's reaction cannot be controlled by me just thinking positive. That's not how trauma works. You cannot think positive and take yourself from a trauma. Has a process of acceptance, process of awakening, process of releasing. These are all processes that have to be done, that take a little while. And you know what, we shouldn't try to fix ourselves too fast, because otherwise we'll end up putting a band-aid on a cut. I won't even say a cut, I would say a wound. You know, you can put a band-aid on a cut, you can't put a band-aid on a wound. A wound needs a lot more taking care of. So I just think that, you know what, in the world that we live in, there isn't enough support system, or everyone's getting very lonely, which is why I've started to now really scream from the rooftop that every single person needs a coach. Every single person. It doesn't matter, because you have no idea at which point what will hit you. Our life is all the time going up and down, up and down, up and down. Even I'm suggesting to my coaches that you need a coach. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't be someone without a coach ever. Every single person should have someone they can frankly and openly talk about their emotions, about their journey, about what their future, and build what I would say hope into your life. You know, otherwise the hopelessness, the number one sentence that suicide people tend to use is, what's the point? What's the point of all of this? Why am I doing all of this? And the day you don't have enough reason, what's the point becomes a very substantial reason to commit suicide. Yeah. In whichever little way, I hope that was helpful. I cannot see your pants. Maybe in the end, I'll just stand up for all of you. I'm not quite okay with colored pants. And you don't have to be either. We all have to develop our own style. It's just something I enjoy. Sani Rach, Pooja, how do you deal with a friend who ignores again and yet again? I would just confront. You know, if someone's ignoring me, that means I need to have a conversation with them. For me to start to believe that they will know on their own that they are ignoring me, no. Sometimes the answer could be anything, but I need to know what's happening in that relationship. Where do I stand? So just message that friend of yours, can we go for coffee? When you sit down for coffee, let her know this is how you've been feeling and why is it happening. Is it something that's happening in her life that is making her ignore you? Or is it something you've done that you need to maybe apologize for, that needs to be looked after? So it could be either which ways, but you can literally tell them, look, I'm open to listening to any feedback, but I'd like to know what has happened because this relationship matters to me. And you know, I've had friends where in confronting them, in 5 minutes, we were able to fix the problem. And I've had friends who decided not to forgive me, who decided that, you know what, they had moved on, and I'm so glad I came to know that they had moved on so that I could also move on. Correct? So either ways, the response could be a negative response and the response could be a positive response, but at least you know where you stand when you have a frank conversation. So frank conversations is the only way to deal with, sometimes a friend gets hurt but she doesn't have the courage to tell you what you've done, or there's no place in the relationship for that to come out, and because that's not coming out, they start to ignore you. That can also happen. Or sometimes they've just gotten too busy in their life. Like I remember a period in my life where I was so busy building my business that my closest two friends got ignored by me. Once they pointed it out, I actually apologized to them. One of them came back, one of them left. Either which ways, at least I knew where I stood with them. Yeah. So see if you can truly have an honest conversation where you're willing to be open to feedback. Palette by Ritika. My 7-year-old son don't leave screen and is getting aggressive day by day and don't want to study. Says I did it for 5 hours in school and I'm tired. Fair enough. So Ritika, your 7-year-old son needs a lot more of the reward as well as the consequence for him to feel desirous. So my suggestion would be that handle it by using the screen time as the reward to the right behavior. So if you want him to study, you can tell him literally when you come back from school, the amount of time you put in studying is the amount of time you will win for screen time. If you spend 1 hour studying, you'll get 1 hour of screen time. You spend 2 hours studying, you'll get 2 hours of screen time. I know that for a 7-year-old, he's rather young, and him throwing tantrums will have to be something you're going to have to learn to deal with. Otherwise, you can land up creating a child where you'll be more scared of him than he'll be scared of you. So at 7, you are the adult, so you have to remember that, right? His aggressiveness needs to have consequences. So if he's being too aggressive, they say normally to make the child stand in a corner for according to his age. 5-year-old child, 5 minutes in the corner, 7-year-old child, 7 minutes in the corner, but just making sure that they know who's in charge. You are in charge. They cannot be in charge. I was very easy with screen time. I think in our times, we were not so strict about screen time because iPads and iPhones didn't exist. It was just TV. So I had a very simple rule with my children that the number of hours you study after school is the number of hours you'll get on TV, which used to be an hour to an hour, which was easy for me. But today's mothers have become a lot more conscious. So I think that today's standard is more about TV on weekends and iPads twice a week. And there's a lot of rules and regulations. And I think anytime you want to send rules or regulations, let the children learn to earn whatever it is that they desire. So this is the list of things you want them to do. Let's say night brushing, sleeping on time, changing their clothes after they come back from school, finishing the last bite on their plate. Or make a list of all the things you'd like them to do. Make them make a list of all the things they would like to do. And then see if you can start to go, okay, against this, I'm willing to give you this. Against this, I'm willing to give you this. If you do this I remember my son wanted a PS5 or one of these video games. And I had told him, okay, for 30 days, you're going to have a solid morning and evening routine, which means these are the 4 things I want you to do before you go to school. These are the 4 things I need you to do before you go to sleep. You do these 8 things for the entire 30 days, you will get your PS5. Okay. So I'd love for you to, children should be made to have aspirations. Aspirations are good because it builds ambition in children, right? So the more aspirational they are, what do? We say, no, we can't give it to you. We will give it to you, but you have to earn everything. It's like a salary, right? Salary, some people say, oh Pooja, but that's bribing. I don't think so. I don't think a salary is a bribe. I think a bribe is when you have 1:1. When you have delayed gratification, which is, you know what, you do this for the whole week. Every Saturday, I'll take you to the beach. You do this for the whole week, you can have a sleepover. You do this for the week. Like I remember my children used to get Domino's pizzas every Wednesday. Now I had parents used to say, oh my God, how can you give your children Domino's pizza? And I used to be like, no, junk food also builds immunity. So I was a little different kind of a parent. You have to see what kind of a parent you are and what is your level of strictness. Clearly my level of strictness was not very huge. So I was like, once a week junk food, you tell what do you want to eat every Wednesday, we will order that. But Monday to Friday, all of those 5 days, you have to have your fruit. You have to have your vegetable soup. So we had our barters, and I think barters, what it does is it creates very clear boundaries and children know what to expect. And when children know what to expect, they feel safe. Otherwise, children will always push your boundaries. If they think that you are going to go according to your mood, which means some days it's okay if you watch TV and sit and eat on your bed. Some days it's okay to sit on the table, depending on mama's mood. If mama's mood is going to decide, then the children will start to throw tantrums. So the word aggressive comes from the fact that he knows when he's aggressive, that's the only time you will relent. And the more you relent when he's aggressive, the more he has now found a coping mechanism to handle you. So the more aggressive he gets, the more stricter you have to get around the fact that, look, sweetheart, you know, when the children are under 5, I always say distract. When the children are between 5 to 12, I say, you know what, they have to learn to understand that they will never get rewarded for bad behavior. That's not an option. So sit them down. A 7-year-old child is fully capable of understanding what you're saying. Sit her down, sit him down, and let them know what is okay, what is not okay. And when they are behaving with what is not okay, take away what it is that you had promised against it. The more such conversations, the more the clarity the child has, the more better decision making the child makes in life. Otherwise, till the age of 16, parents land up making all the decisions of their children's life, and at 16 you look for a life coach and say, can you please help me, he's not motivated or she's not motivated to do anything. Yeah, because you thought you knew better. Nahi, yellow ही पहनना है birthday party पे क्या पहनता है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, उसको अपनी choice बनाने दो ना. So I just feel like we have to let our children make a lot more choices. I remember in my house we used to have this rule called the 10 p.m. remote control handover rule. That means every day 10 p.m. the remote control comes into my room because I didn't want them to be playing video games. Now if they did not give it at 10 p.m. then the next 24 hours they will not get the remote control back. At one point my children became so oversmart that if they crossed the 10 p.m. deadline for whatever reason, they would play till 12:31 ki now the remote control is going to go anyway, no, for 24 hours. So then better I just play for as long as I want. Then I had to become even smarter and say, you know what, if it comes after 12 o'clock, sweethearts, it's not going to be for one day I will take away your remote control, I will take it away for 72 hours. So for every hour, I will add another 24 hours to the rule, okay? So 10 o'clock, you get the remote control tomorrow, 11 o'clock, you get it after 48 hours, 72 hours. So children are so smart that you have to see that whatever rule you will make, they will have a loophole attached to it. Then you will become smarter, then they'll become smarter. Then you will become smarter, then they'll become smarter. But you know what? He's only 7. And you have to remember that you are the adult in the relationship. So at all times, you have to be in charge, which means your strength of holding on to what you're saying has to be stronger than his strength of throwing tantrums. Okay? Devika Singh 07. Good morning, dear Pooja. How to stop the flooding of thoughts coming during bathing or any other time which are not beneficial for me, and I want to control them, but it is so difficult to control. Devika, I want you to sit down with a piece of paper, write out all the 5, 6, 7 negative situations that you tend to replay in your mind whenever you are alone, whether it is in the shower or on the bed or before going to sleep. And I want you to look at every situation and ask yourself, what was the lesson that God was trying to teach you through this person? So this person is what I call the disguised angel, and their job was to teach you a lesson. So let's take any example. Let's say I have a joint family, so I'm just going to take any random example that my mother-in-law used to say, come and eat on the table or something. I'm just taking any random example, and that hurt me that I couldn't eat while watching my TV, or I'm just giving some rather stupid example, but and so what was the lesson that I needed to learn? That what? Maybe the thing was that, all of us together, that a joint family should sit and eat together. So I can pull out the lesson if the other person is right. Let's say the other person did injustice in some form. So let's say she did something to me that was not how it was supposed to be. Then I can say that, maybe God wants to teach me the lessons of standing up for myself. Maybe God wants to teach me the lessons of patience. Maybe God wants to teach me the lessons of being truthful to myself and speaking out what my issue is. Maybe God wants me to learn to keep quiet. Maybe God wants me to learn to focus on something else and not on things that don't actually really matter. There is a lesson behind every injustice or problem or misunderstanding, or they could be also sometimes right and we could be wrong and still we could be upset. There's a lesson there. Once you have the lesson, every time you replay the situation, I want you to very quickly have the ability to move to, what did I learn from this? Where am I applying this now? Why will this not get repeated in my life again? Have I let it go? Am I willing to let it go? Then you can go deeper in self-reflective questions and use these incidents to actually clean out your energy. Our energies get contaminated when we have so much negativity sitting inside of us. But the minute the focus becomes, at one point I used to get upset that somebody is getting jealous of me. So I used to be like, God, they're so insecure. Why do they keep getting jealous of me and all of that? Later on, at one point, I remember saying, oh God, please send more people be jealous of me. Because the new story that I built in my head was that as you progress, as you get more and more successful, people are going to be jealous of you. Never be scared of people being jealous of you or copying you or, emulating you. That's a good sign. Guess who are the people who get copied? The ones who actually are doing something worth doing, correct or no? Whether it's in your clothes or in your design sense or in your work or in your... So then I stopped resisting these people who are jealous of me. Rather, I used to start to bless them. God bless them and send me more. God bless them and send me more. It was such a silly thing to do, but you know what? It gave me so much peace from a place where I used to wonder why they would backbite or bitch about me. I started to become so comfortable with the fact that, people only bitch about you because you're important enough to be spoken about. Oh God, that means I'm becoming unignorable. How fabulous is that? Okay, so I want you to come up with new stories to tell yourself of how can you process that same situation which used to have a negative ending for you, where you used to be like upset and sad and depressed. Can you take that same situation, build a story where you can actually land up feeling happy? My husband and I don't have the same money wavelength. So he tends to buy only what he needs. I like to buy what I want. Right? In the beginning, I can create a very negative story around that. Today, I say the reason I earn my own money is because of this different thought process that we had. So I'm thankful or grateful to God that He gave me a spouse who was so amazing with value of money that I decided that I don't want to be that kind. Let him be that kind. It's actually excellent for my joint family as well as for my children. But I want to be someone who when I want to buy something, I want to buy it because I want it, not because I need it. Mar nahi jaungi uske bagair, but chahiye mujhko. Okay, so new story. Can you see? Taken a negative situation, made a new story. Taken a negative situation, made a new story. What is the lesson? What is it that I can do to take myself back to peace? Learning the art. To me, the most intelligent person on the planet is not someone who has the maximum Google Baba information, which means they know when the war of Panipat happened and when the nuclear bomb was made and who is the creator of the TV and who's the creator of the computer and who owns what. That's not the most intelligent person, because that is just one touch button away, right? To me, the most intelligent person is the one who can build a story in their mind where they can return back to peace without having to do much in their environment. Just by what they say to themselves, whatever, what would I say? energetic block is happening, whether it's a panic attack or an anxiety or an issue that they are going through, if they are able to return back to their peace through this whole thing, I think that is the most intelligent person. Tell me in the chat box, would you agree that one of the most intelligent qualities to have? A lot of people think there is intelligence in figuring out what someone is doing wrong. I could have done that birthday party better. I could have done that launch better. She should have done this. She should have done that. दूसरों को एडवाइस देना तो बहुत आसान है, उसमें कौन सी बड़ी इंटेलिजेंस की बात है. इंटेलिजेंट तो तब हुआ when you know how to handle your emotions, your thoughts, your mindset. That's intelligence to me, which means application of knowledge on your personal life before on anyone else's is such a smart way to live. So I really hope that you also start to focus on the positive side of the same situation. Every situation has two sides to the coin, the positive and the negative, right? And we are either looking at the negative side, we are either looking at the positive side. See if you can develop the eyes to start to look at the positive within the negative. So look for the silver lining in every cloud. Perspective with Rachna. How did you answer students who told you that he's addicted to porn and wanted to come out of it? So any form of addiction is actually someone going away from their value system. Whatever was most important to them, for some reason in their life, they were not able to do it. So they are numbing themselves from not being able to do what they were born to do. So alcohol, porn, shopping, emotional eating, smoking, drugs, all of this comes under that. So if you do a little bit of study around addiction, it's not what I said. It's not what you say. It is when you sit down with this person and work with them for 3 to 6 months to bring them back into living their life the way they had designed it or wanted it. A lot of times what will happen, parents want you to do engineering, you wanted to become an artist. Okay, now what is going to happen? You're not interested in engineering, but for 4 years now you have to do something that is of no interest to you. How are you going to settle yourself? By getting addicted to some rubbish like this, right? So it's all about recreating and choosing to then get out of. We have what we call our value systems, and if you want to know more about values, there's a man called Dr. Demartini, and he has a lovely, on Google, you can just Google his value system test, and you do the value system test. I think there are about 13 questions, and you will start to see a pattern on what's important to you. And when we start to live life according to what's important to me, for example, let's say for me, family is most important. Money is also very important. Relationships are very important. Studying, I love new information, right? So studying is very important. Health is important, but not important enough. For my husband, health will be his number one. So what's happening here? If I start to tell him, you should study, you should read books, you should this thing, I'm telling him to go against his value system. His value system is health first, family second, career third. For me, it is family first. So, and the beauty is that we marry each other so that we can live our values and there is balance in the family. True? So like that, if anybody is addicted to anything, the first understanding we have to have around addiction is because their life did not go according to what they had expected, and therefore they are numbing themselves through making their soul so distracted. The first time you do something wrong, your consciousness tells you it's wrong. By the 5th time you do it, you've already built a beautiful story on why this is important for you, how it relaxes you. The first time somebody drank alcohol, they didn't get addicted. It takes a year or 2 to get addicted to anything, correct? So what have you done? You've been telling yourself the story, no, but I need it, I deserve it, I remember in the beginning I could only have half a pizza, then a whole pizza, then pizza and chocolava cake, then pizza, chocolava cake and cheesy bread sticks. And then after that I used to say, bring in the food. So I know that it didn't happen overnight. There was a part of me that kept saying, as I'm working so hard, I deserve this food every evening. As I'm working so hard, and I built a story around it. So to get out of all of that, I had to rebuild a new story. Okay, so see how you can use all of this conversation. Make the person do the value system test. Let them go back into living their highest life. When they live their highest life, automatically all of these addictions start to disappear. Shravanti, I do Ho'oponopono, but still at times I get angry on the people I do it for. How do I manage this, man? I think anger is just feedback that someone is not behaving according to your expectations. Once you know that, you have to ask yourself, but why do I even expect people to behave according to what I want them to behave? They also have a life, they also have free will, they also have choices. They are making the choices they want to make. Why am I trying to control them? So I always say, from anger you have to move into 3 spaces. One is, can you accept the person for the way they are? Second is, can you confront and get them to change themselves because of you? And third is, if it's a non-negotiable, can you remove this person from your life? These are our only 3 options, right? So while you can keep forgiving them from using all of these beautiful methodologies that help us release, every new event will create new anger, because anger is feedback. It is your intelligence telling you that something in your environment or someone in your environment is not behaving according to the way you would like them to behave. Okay, once you understand that, instead of feeling like, oh, this concept that you should never be angry, I don't know how to process that, because anger is a very intelligent form of understanding ourselves. How can you just remove anger? So do not treat anger as a lower emotion. Now, what you do with your anger makes all the difference. Do you tend to express it? Do you tend to explain it? I always say, don't express your anger, explain your anger. What do I mean by that? Expressing your anger is showing people the volcanic eruption, right? Explaining your anger is showing people the mountain which can have a volcanic eruption. Okay, so when I used to speak to my children, at one point I used to say, do you want mama to shout? Will you only listen to mama when her Kali comes out? Are you only going to be interested in doing what mama is asking you to do when mama punishes you? Can we do it without all of that? See, mama is getting very disappointed, okay? Mama is getting very upset. And this is the tonality you can still continue to use. So when anger, when not added with emotional tonality, is actually a beautiful thing to use to give people direction on where you want them to go. And sometimes our anger can even be unreasonable, which means, why are we expecting others to listen to us? My husband loves mountains, I love beaches. Let's say he books a mountain holiday. What am I getting upset? He likes mountains. It's his money. He wants to go to the mountains. There's nothing wrong with it. But you don't care for me. You don't love me. I will build all of this drama to it. Unnecessary. True or not? So I can literally say, okay, this time we'll go to the mountains, sweetheart. But next time, can we do the beach? Can we alternate between mountains and beaches? By the way, Puneet loves beaches. So both of us don't have that issue. But I'm just giving it as an example. Rachna, if she is like that only, then you don't have much to worry. So some people are just more cold. Now that you know her, you can let her know on what things it's okay and on what things you need a response. Okay, again, frank, honest conversations is what builds relationship. Okay, but also to have expectations from people, which is their basic nature, to make them or want to desire for them to go against their basic nature, very hard. Okay, I have friends who are leaders. I have friends who are followers. I can't start to expect the follower to start to book the hotel, book the flight, book the thing, book the restaurant. It's not going to happen. She's a follower. I should know, if I lead, she happily comes. But for me to say, तू तो कुछ करता ही नहीं है trip में, मैं ही सब कुछ करती हूँ, that's unfair, because that's her personality. The more we understand our friend's personality, the more we can start to go, okay, these are her strengths, let me use that. These are my strengths, let me bring those. And instead of thinking that you're better on some things from that person, start to go, you know what, together we complete each other. So if your friend has an issue of just generally being a person who lands up ignoring people, or that's her style of relationship, then you put in that extra effort. You tell her, Monday ke Monday hum lunch pe ja rahe hain, theek hai? We are not allowed to change that. अपने आप relationship stronger होते जाएगा. So with some people, they forget you when they forget you, okay? They don't know how to stay in touch. I'm actually a person like that. When I'm with you, you will feel very important. When I'm not with you, you won't be in my life only, okay? So for the friends who are actually interested in me, वो रोज का अपना 4 बजे मुझे फोन कर लेंगे कि क्या कर रही है, कॉफी पे आजा 6 बजे, चल कहीं चलते हैं. And I love and appreciate that because I'm not a plan maker, but if somebody is making the plan, I'll always show up. So again, we have to learn to use our friends' qualities for our benefit and our qualities for their benefit. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is what's great in us, we start to get irritated with the other person. Why isn't it great in them? No, rather the other person should become appreciative of what you are giving, and you should become appreciative of what they are bringing to the table. Anita Gupta, how do you stretch 2 full days of coaching? Tried 3 hours first time and felt it was too much energy required. Anita, it's a matter of practice. So as you keep, 3 hours will look difficult in the beginning. Slowly 4 hours, 6 hours, 7-8 hours, then 2 days, then 3 days. Okay, so it's not something that may happen overnight. It's something where you have to look at what you are delivering should be very exciting to you. Okay, so look at what was the topic. If you found the energy required was too much, it could be that your preparation was not at the level it needs to be. So the more prepared you are, the more enthusiastic you will be about your delivery. The more scared you are. If you have only 2 hours of content and you have to go for 3 hours, disaster. So I'd love for you to start to reevaluate your preparation, and then I'd like you to go and deliver. Like, because on some topics I can speak for 3 days continuously, one day doesn't feel effortful. I have so much material to cover. Okay, so if you're having an energy issue, also look at your diet, look at your source of what your lifestyle is like, because 3 hours is actually not much. To be very honest, it looks like a lot, but when you are prepared to go from topic to topic to topic to topic to topic, you should know what are your 15-minute slots. 15 minutes का slot बना के अगर 8 slot बना दो. Okay, so 8 slots of 15 minutes is 2 full hours, which will take you about, let's say, 2 hours or 2 hours 15 minutes to deliver. Then add in a little bit of Q&A, then add in a little bit of maybe intermingling amongst themselves, breakout rooms and all of that. I can tell you, in every session of mine, I am short on time. It's never I have more time than what I can deliver. So preparation is where I'd like you to go back. Maybe you had only an hour or 2 hours of material, but you decided to deliver it for 3 hours. Then you will feel exhausted. Also look at whether it was close to your periods. Was there any other physical issue that could have been there? If not, then normally 3 hours should not. 3 hours will go like this if you have enough material. So material is sometimes more the problem than the energy. Supriya, ma'am, I did 2 passion tests. First meditation, I saw my Guruji who left long back. I miss him a lot. He gave me a canvas and a lot of paints, which I love. And second time, I saw a peacock feather. That's lovely. If you're not able to understand what it means, sit in your meditation and ask your Guruji itself for what he gave you the canvas and a lot of paints, and see if you can do your own interpretation. Interpretations are very important in meditations, and no one else can do it for you. So you can literally Google what are all the significances of a peacock feather. What does it mean? What does that symbol, as a symbol, what does it stand for? And then see the one that you most connect with, because in every culture, the symbolic representation of that thing could be totally different. For example, in English, we say as wise as an owl. In Hindi, we say ullu da patta, which means foolish. The same animal in Hindi has an interpretation of being foolish, and the same animal has an interpretation of, so your culture, your diversity, your environment, so in Google also you will find lots of meanings to these symbolic representations, and then you have to see which one most resonates with you. So it's not about it being right, it has to be right for you. Oh, that's so sweet. Hi Pooja, it's so nice to see a successful woman in this man's world. Thank you. That's a sweet compliment. Hetal, I think we all should learn to live alone. I mean, though with family, but still like detachment, like attachment. Well, I agree, Hetal. It's a difficult ask, but it's definitely possible that all of us, yes, we should continuously keep working on making ourselves as complete. And what I've noticed is that people with the greater the faith, the more ability to be alone, which means you're not alone when your God is with you. And whatever your definition of God is, I have a feeling that the more attached you are to the spiritual world, the lesser lonely you are on the earthly or materialistic world or the earth plane. So at the soul plane level, definitely have some kind of a belief into something that's beyond you. This could be the sun, stars, moon, this could be astrology, this could be religion, this could be spirituality, this could be a mantra, this could be a idol, this could be something beyond yourself that's protecting you, that you can have conversation with, that is guiding you, that is inside of you, it's what I mean by the awakened soul. An awakened soul is never lonely, and an unawakened soul can feel lonely in a party of 100 people also. Lavik, hello ma'am, I want to do so many things but I end up doing nothing, like dance, meditate, make videos, get busy with kids, office. Oh, I get busy with kids in office. So I think all you need to do is schedule your wishes and desires. We all have wishes and desires, but till the time they are not scheduled into our calendar, they remain wishes and desires. So if I want to dance, what's going to be the timing? Where am I going to go? What is it that I'm going to do? So let's say I know there's a 6 to 7 dance class near my house every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now I block that, it will happen. I leave it open, it won't happen. So I want you to start to make up your mind what to what time are you going to be doing something, and then in that time period you're not allowed to do anything else. You know, I used to have a teacher called Robin Sharma, I'm sure you've heard of him. He used to say that when he goes to write his books, the time when he used to take a break from his book writing, he was not allowed to distract himself with anything else. If he was not in the mood to write, let's say his timing was 9 to 11, 9 to 11, he had to just sit on his chair and look at his book. And sometimes for 2 to 3 days, he did not get an idea. And by the 4th day, something would start to flow. So I feel like, especially in the beginning, you will sit in your meditation, you may feel restless. You may feel like doing so many things, but you may not know how to do them. So give yourself the time and permission to not only start something, but also to mature in that till it becomes second nature. We don't sometimes give ourselves enough time. We try it for 3 days, then we lose interest. Now, had we just done it long enough, we would have gotten good at it. But we left it because we didn't find ourselves good at it in the beginning. Who's good at anything in the beginning? Nobody. We all, I remember listening to this sentence, which I absolutely love till today. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly in the beginning. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly in the beginning. So whenever I'm starting something, I don't want to judge myself for the first 3 months on how I do in calligraphy or how I do in speaking a language. The first 3 months is just me maturing to the idea of starting to do it right. Suddenly what happens after 60 to 90 days is you start to get better at it, and then you get inspired and encouraged. But we want inspiration and encouragement from day one, and unfortunately we are the worst in the beginning, and therefore the motivation falls in the beginning. So I'd love for you to start to appreciate or track your consistency rather than the action itself. The action doesn't matter. You are just building your consistency muscle for any activity in the beginning. You are only allowed to measure the tick के हुआ के नहीं हुआ, कैसे हुआ वो बाद में देखेंगे, क्वालिटी को हम बाद में डालेंगे, पहले हम कंसिस्टेंसी पे फोकस करेंगे. ठीक है? So try that, Lavik. All right, let's go to the bottom of the page. I don't know how many of you know that I'm doing a beautiful new program called Love Mastery on the 9th, 10th and 11th of August. If you have not registered for it yet, I would highly recommend. If relationships is something that interests you, you want to take your relationships to the next level, whether it is as a parent or it is in your spouse, in any of your relationships, if you're feeling like you want a full manual, a complete manual on being a better person in your friend, as a daughter, as a daughter-in-law, as a spouse, in every possible way, I'd love to invite you for my Love Mastery course, which is going to be happening on the 9th, 10th and 11th of August. And if you'd like to register for that, you need to come for a 2-hour, very, very interesting program called the Love Lab, which is happening this Sunday. So if you'd like to register for that, I will share the link below this program. Just put Love Lab, you will get the link in your DM, and this Sunday attend those 2 hours. I think it happens in the morning from 9:30 to 11:30. Attend the 2 hours with me, and then definitely show up for 9th, 10th and 11th. For 3 days I'll be doing Love Mastery. I don't know when again I will be repeating it. It may not even get repeated, so I highly recommend you come for it if you can now itself. Okay, God bless you. Anita, content was never a problem, but the energy to deliver is what brought stress on the throat. Oh, okay. So maybe that's all you need to work on. That, you know what, I've actually not had this issue, so maybe I don't really truly understand it. If you're having stress on your throat, see if you can sip some warm water. If you notice, I for the whole day will keep sipping something or the other. Make sure it's not hot. Make sure it's not cold. It needs to be room temperature or slightly warmer. Okay, if the stress is on your throat, and maybe you can do some of those throat exercises that speakers do. There's a lovely TEDx talk on throat exercises. Just Google how to be a better speaker or how to look after your throat if you are a speaker, if that was the issue. Okay. Puranik, I heard that there is the other side to everything. Is there a negative side to gratitude? Gratitude also has some disadvantages, right? Of course it does. And I think any sort of over positivity puts you in what I call the bubble, disorientation or delusional bubble, as I like to call it. Some people become so positive that they start to look at that nothing in life will be negative. But that's not possible, because life is duality, right? So like you're saying, if you keep doing, some people will start to do gratitude for the negative things of their life. Now you can look at the silver lining and do the gratitude. You can't become grateful for the negative thing. Oh, I lost 2 lakhs of rupees. You can't be grateful for that. I see people, because they don't understand gratitude fully and completely, they'll start doing gratitude for the negative things of their life. No, you can do gratitude for the fact that, you know what, I lost 2 lakhs of rupees and I've learnt my lesson never to leave my purse in the marketplace. Okay, you can do gratitude for what in it could have been something positive. But you can't do gratitude for the negative, right? You've lost a person in your life. You can't be grateful for that. So like that, I just feel like a lot of times what can happen is that when we tell people you should have a positive mindset, they start to get delusional about it. नहीं मेरे साथ तो गलत हो ही नहीं सकता, मैं शॉप में जाऊंगी मुझे वो आउटफिट मिल ही जाएगा, टरडा शायद थोड़ी देर वो हो रहा हो उनके साथ, but the day you start to believe कि मेरे साथ गलत हो ही नहीं सकता, then you're delusional. The truth is, I don't want you to say कि मेरे साथ गलत हो ही नहीं सकता. I want you to say मेरे पास उतना confidence है कि अगर कुछ गलत होगा तो मैं उसको ठीक कर लूंगी. So the real confidence is not that nothing will go wrong. Real confidence is when something goes wrong, I know how to handle it. That is real confidence, and that is only real positivity. Real positivity is not that nothing will go wrong. Real positivity is that in that negativity, I will be able to find something. This, तिनका एक सहारा बहुत है. So then I will find something to put my sahara on, right? So I'd love for you to start to look at. So while gratitude, I don't think gratitude has too much negativity in it unless you are delusional. So you just have to be careful that you don't at any point, because जब इन लोगों का bubble burst होता है ना, when you become extra unnecessarily positive, then when your bubble bursts, you have a severe downward spiral and you go land up sitting in complete kichad, because you did not know, you did not process or handle the negative situations correctly, and then suddenly all of it comes and hits you when reality hits you. I remember I used to have a client who used to keep appreciating her husband a lot, Okay, so the day she was not willing to see him as a complete whole. She had put him on a pedestal. When you put your husband on a pedestal, you are choosing not to see one whole half side of him. Half side was wonderful, but half side in every human being is flawed. I would rather you love both sides of a human being rather than starting to believe कि वो तो कोई गलत कर ही नहीं सकते, रामचंद्र जी खुद उतर के आए हैं. नहीं, जब भी हम ऐसे डिल्यूजनल हो जाते हैं किसी के भी बारे में, फिर वो जब गिरता है ना पर्सन, तो फिर बहुत सैड होता है. Then eventually I remember when she did get cheated, it took her years to come out of the grief, because for her it was so, she was in denial that this could happen to her. And I think a lot of people live a lot of their life in denial, in the process of trying to be too positive. I always say, first look at the situation realistically. Okay, and then from that, in that garden of realism where there are weeds also and there are flowers also, pick the flowers to focus on. That's how we do gratitude. So yes, there are definitely a negative side to everything. Kuch bhi excess is not good. So even if you do gratitude in excess, it can actually cause you to go away from reality. All right, we've reached 10:53. Let me go right to the bottom and see what were the... For those of you who are putting Love Lab in the chat box here, it's not supposed to be here. When I actually put it in my Insta wall and you put it in the comment section, that's when you will get the DM, okay? So I'll ask my team to set it up in a manner that when they put Love Lab in the comment section, you can just... then it will come into your DM on how to register, okay? Kavita, ma'am, give some tips on coaching for money mindset. Would love to hear from you on bringing transformation on this topic as a coach. Kavita, why do you want just some tips? I would love to give you a 21-day challenge around money where I come in and speak to you about money for a whole hour, take you through a beautiful challenge, and then end it with 2 full hours. So, Kavita, I'd love for you to call Gunjan up and tell her that you'd like to register for the money manifestation challenge. So, we do these money manifestation challenges every 2 months. They are completely free, and I'd love to have you there if you truly want a brand new mindset. What I say is that these 21 days, what it'll do is it'll open up your abundance portal where money will start to come to you easily and effortlessly. And as you learn through that whole thing, though, you will have enough tips on you being able to even help other people open up their abundance portals. So for all of you who would love to join the Money Manifestation Challenge, all you need to do is just send a message to Gunjan on the phone number that we'll be putting below saying MMC, Money Manifestation Challenge, MMC. If you just send a message to her MMC, she'll register you for the whenever next time the Money Manifestation Challenge is happening. Ma'am, I keep on getting ads on the manifestation programs. Do you have any idea about this? Confused whether or not to go for it or not. If anything is feeling like it is pulling you, I think it's very worth going. So there are so many ads around, so many different manifestation courses across the board today. So when you are listening to any teacher and it's feeling like this teacher I'm able to resonate with what they are saying, you should sign up for their programs, because you know what, the current, or rather the new way of educating yourself is going to be through these short courses for personality development, short courses for manifestation, short courses for Excel sheets, short courses for the new way of being in this world is called what we call the adaptive quotient, which means all that we learned is there, but we have to keep on adapting to whatever new is happening in the world, whatever new knowledge in whichever topic is of interest to us. So I highly recommend short courses. Whichever one pulls you, join that. So whether it is from Mind Valley, or it is from Success Gyan, or it is from Tony Robbins, or it is from whichever teacher, or it is from me, these are all fabulous programs till the time you resonate with the teacher. Every teacher will attract his or her own kind of people into the room. That is very important, that you resonate with the messenger so that you can absorb their message. Okay, we are at 10:56. Let's click a picture so that for those of you, I'd love to know in your stories what was the highlight of today. What did you learn? Let us know. We will be looking for the lucky winners for Love Lab program. So if you are someone who's interested in getting Love Lab free or rather Love Mastery free, what I'd love for you to do is share it in your story and we will share with you whether you are one of the lucky winners for coming for the 9th, 10th and 11th August Love Mastery program. Yeah? All you need to do is put my picture on your story, put your biggest takeaway and tag me as Pooja Puneet. Yeah? The thing is, I'm not able to complete the courses I've already bought. Then please do courses with me because I will make sure that you complete whatever you join with me. Because one of the things we have versus the world is that we give you your own personal coach in every program of mine who will handhold you through the program. And for most of us, digitally we are not accountable, but if we have a person sitting on our head, we are able to do it. So Shrujana, come for Love Mastery, come for the Awakening program, which is starting tomorrow actually. If anybody is interested in my Awakening program, it starts tomorrow. You join it for the 4 weeks. We will make sure you finish the course. You don't have to feel pressured at all because the way we've built our courses is that week on week, you finish the course, you speak to a live person. So you stay connected with someone who's actually there to hold your hand and take you through the 4 weeks. Yeah? All right, on that note, I'm going to run. Thank you so much for coming. You know what you need to do. Share what you learned today, your biggest takeaway in your story. Type Love Lab under this video so that we can have the DM, the registration link sent to you in your direct message, in your DM. And if you would be interested in either the Awakening program or in our Money Manifestation Challenge, just send a message to Gunjan. Gunjan's phone number is, actually let me give you Gunjan's phone number right away so that you can all make a note of it. It's 78239 88142. 78239 88142. Yeah? That's Gunjan's number. Pose again. Okay. Alright, take care. Thank you for coming. Loads of love. I hope I see you in some of my programs soon. Ciao. Bye.